Being aware of your money is one of the first real steps toward building financial stability. Stop for a second and ask yourself a simple question. How much money have you spent today? And how much do you have with you right now? If you don't know the answer, that usually means it's time to start budgeting. A budget is not there to limit your life, it's there to show you where your money goes so you stay in control instead of wondering at the end of the month where everything disappeared. Many people think budgeting only becomes important when they start earning more, but in reality, the habits you build with small amounts are usually the same habits you carry when larger amounts start coming in. If you waste a little now, you'll probably waste more later. If you learn to manage small sums carefully, you'll be ready to handle bigger ones responsibly. One of the first questions people ask is whether budgeting should be very detailed or whether it can stay simple. The truth is, both can work. A detailed budget gives you more control because you see exactly where every bit of money goes, but it also takes more time and can be hard to keep up. A simple budget is much easier to manage, especially if you are just starting. And even if it's less precise, it often works better in the long run because you're more likely to stick with it. Instead of creating a huge list of categories, it helps to focus on just three. First, essential expenses. These are things you truly need, like rent, groceries, transportation, bills, healthcare, and other basic necessities. Then there are flexible expenses like subscriptions, eating out, entertainment, shopping, gifts, or vacations. And finally, savings and investments, which is simply the money you set aside for your future. There are many ways to budget. Some people use the zero-based method, where every dollar has a job and by the end of the month, there is nothing left unassigned. Others prefer the pay yourself first method, where money goes into savings the moment income arrives before anything else gets spent. Another popular option is the envelope method, where each spending category has a limit, and once that money is gone, spending stops. None of these systems is perfect for everyone. The best method is simply the one you can follow consistently. A useful starting point is the 50-30-20 rule. Around 50% of your income goes toward essential expenses, 30% toward flexible spending, and 20% toward savings or investments. These percentages are not strict rules because life is different for everyone, but they can give you a good framework. Let's say you earn $4,000 a month after taxes. That could mean around $2,000 for essentials, $1,200 for flexible expenses, and $800 for savings. After setting your targets, the next step is tracking what you actually spend. If you use a card, your bank statement makes it easier. If you use cash, keeping receipts or writing purchases down can help. And yes, even very small purchases matter. A coffee, a snack, a quick online order, these things don't feel like much in the moment, but repeated every day, they can add up surprisingly fast by the end of the month. That's why tracking small expenses is so useful, at least in the beginning, because it makes you aware of habits you normally ignore. If you have debt, include it in your financial plan. One effective way to pay it off is the snowball method. Start with the smallest debt first, clear it, and then move on to the next one. Small wins create momentum, and that momentum makes it easier to keep going. Saving should also become automatic. A good target is at least 20% of what you earn. Warren Buffett once said, "Don't save what is left after spending, spend what is left after saving." That idea is simple but powerful. Over time, try to build an emergency fund that can cover around 6 months of living expenses. It also helps to keep this money in a separate account. If your savings sit in the same account you use every day, it becomes much easier to dip into them without thinking. At the end of each month, review everything. Compare what you planned with what actually happened. Ask yourself if you stayed within your limits, where you spent more than expected, and whether some of those expenses could have been avoided. That monthly review is where real progress happens because it helps you make better decisions the following month. Budgeting is not about being perfect. It's about becoming more aware, building better habits, and improving over time. Check your finances often, spend less than you earn, avoid taking on debt that consumes too much of your income, and remember that real financial progress usually comes from small, smart decisions repeated consistently. And one last piece of advice: never buy a boat, just have a friend who already owns one.